Do your chickens keep dying and you have no idea why? Well, stick around. Today we're going over 11 reasons why you are accidentally killing your chickens. So there are lots of things that can accidentally or intentionally kill your chickens, but most of the time we don't want them to die yet. We want to take care of them when it's time and on our own time. Number one is going to be your family dogs or pets. Unfortunately, if they aren't trained properly, they can attack your chickens or ducks or any sort of poultry. They really need to be trained to not attack them or play with them, because even though they might be playing with them, that means they are attacking them. And this is mostly true especially when they're chicks. So if they're very small and not adult chickens, they can't really defend themselves too easily or get away too easily, and so they have a tendency to fall to this way of dying accidentally. So number two is lack of security. You need to make sure that your chickens are secure in their run and in their coop at night especially. So that means having enough chain link fence, keeping them fenced in for one. Make sure if you want to keep all of them and have as little chance as possible of losing them, you keep them inside of a run that's fenced in and maybe even caged in up top if you have a real big aerial predator problem. But their coop is the especially important part. At night, their defenses are down and they are resting, sleeping, and so it's much easier for a predator to get in. So make sure that you have doors to your coop that lock shut, that aren't easily opened by some animals because they can get in by themselves. And that way you don't lose any chickens to this. Number three is coop fires. I know it's actually crazy, but this happens more often than not. And that's especially true during the winter time with newer chicken owners. Why, you may ask? Well, because they try and use a heat lamp. Heat lamps just aren't needed for adult chickens. They are bred to be able to survive the winter and the heat with what they have on them. So please do not use heat lamps in your chicken coop. They do not need it. Number four is small objects in the run or coop. I can't tell you how many times we found little screws, chunks of glass, pieces of metal, wire, nails, anything and everything that's just on the ground. Well, your chickens will find those too. The problem is they won't hand them to you like your kids will. They will actually try and eat them. And what happens is they get lodged in their digestive system. They cause blockages, tearing, bleeding, and eventually death. And so it's not a good thing at all. So really, to combat this, you need to just make sure that your coop and your run is cleaned routinely. And then if you are working in that coop or run, you make sure to clean up properly after you're done so you don't leave any mess for them to get into later. Number five is dehydration. Yes, chickens can get dehydrated. It does happen. An adult hen actually needs about 1 pint of water per day. So multiply that out. If you have, we have 10 chickens, that's 10 pints of water a day for each chicken. It can be quite a bit, but you need to make sure they have plenty of fresh, clean water available to them so that they cannot get dehydrated. Now, do keep in mind sometimes that especially when hens are broody, they can get very protective of water. So if you do find that you're having issues with some animals getting dehydrated, you may want to consider having more than one waterer, so that way they can't get protective of all of them. Today's video is brought to you by Audible. Audible is a great service that I've used for years, and it's especially helpful when I'm out here working on the farm. I can just pop my earbuds in and listen to a great audio book. Today's book that we're going to feature is called Old Fashioned on Purpose by Jill Winger. In this book, she talks about, homesteading. It's a great topic for us. She talks about how you can grow more of your own groceries, how you can cook more and even love it if you don't, and just love being more old-fashioned, which we absolutely totally want to do here at our farm too. Try and get away from technology as much as possible, at least. So if you're interested in reading Old Fashioned on Purpose or any other book of your choosing for free, go ahead and click the link below in the description and in the pinned comment to start your free Audible subscription today. You get 1 free month of service, including 1 free audiobook like this one here. After that 1 month, if you don't like their service, you can cancel, don't get charged anything, and you can keep that audiobook for free for life. If you do like it, which I think you will like the service like we do, you can keep that for a small monthly fee and get 1, 2, 3 audiobooks a month depending on your plan, as well as get access to their premium catalog of included podcasts, some Audible stories, all sorts of extra features. So if you guys are interested, please check out the link below and help support this channel. So number 6 is dangerous foods. Yes, there are a lot of things that your chickens can eat, but there are a lot of things that they can't eat as well, and that can kill them pretty instantaneously. So we'll go over them right now. I made a list because I can't remember all of them off the top of my head. So first one is going to do anything in the nightshade family. So you're talking about potato, tomatoes, and eggplants. Really, you're talking about the plant itself. So the stems, the leaves, they contain toxins that can kill your animals. Now, a lot of those things like tomatoes and eggplant, they may be able to eat after they're cooked, especially potatoes. After they're cooked, they can eat most all of those things, just not if they're uncooked or the actual plants. They contain something called solanaceae, which basically is a compound that is known to be toxic to chickens. So some other things that you cannot feed your chickens will be onions, avocados, apple seeds, any sort of citrus fruit. Chocolate is a big one. Just like dogs, can't give your chickens chocolate or really anything sweet for that matter. Anything salty. And the big one is going to be moldy food, because I know a lot of people like to give their leftover food to their chickens, and that's great, but if it's moldy, just don't do it, because the mold can actually cause issues in their digestive system and eventually lead to death. And number 7 is going to be dangerous plants. So your chickens will eat basically anything green that is available to them. They are great foragers and will eat and destroy your entire garden if possible. But there are a lot of plants they cannot eat that are dangerous to them. I'll go ahead and list them on the screen here for you, but some of them are, you wouldn't expect, but for example, like your castor beans or your ground ivy. Hemlock obviously is pretty self-explanatory, but horseradish, we already talked about nightshade, but St. John's wort, tulips, those are all things that they should not have. So you just need to make sure that your garden is safe. You can usually go through and just check to make sure all the plants that they can't eat are safe, and then you'll be good to go. The number 8 reason you might be accidentally killing your chickens is from poison. And no, I'm not talking about dangerous foods or plants. We just covered that. I'm talking about poison itself. Because what happens is when you have chickens, you tend to have a lot of mice, rodents, rats, that kind of stuff that love to eat your chicken's food. Well, you can either go the safe route and get a bunch of barn cats like we do, and that really takes care of a lot of the problem, or you can get poison to put out to kill those rats or mice. The problem is the main ingredient in that poison, bromethylene, is actually toxic to chickens. I mean, think about it. Poison, it's for rats. It's going to kill your chickens. So you need to do a couple of things to make sure that they don't cross-contaminate and get that poison in them. Is that, first of all, make sure that if your traps are in your chicken area, that they're enclosed and that the poison is secured inside of that trap that is enclosed. So that way the chickens can't necessarily knock it over and have it fall out and they get the poison. Or you need to make sure that they can't stick their heads in there and reach the poison as well. Number 9 reason you might be accidentally killing your chickens is neglect, or basically lack of food. So this will change depending on where you live and the property you live on, etc. But if you don't have a lot of stuff for them to forage and a lot of stuff for them to eat, you do need to give them chicken food. I know it's crazy, right? They need food to live. Well, some places that chickens are at, they may be able to forage for bugs, mites, and as well as grasses, that kind of stuff, and be fine and not need chicken food. But you do need to monitor them and kind of have an idea, like, for example, on our property, we need to have chicken food for them. There's no way around it. There's not enough for them to eat by themselves. The other thing is just general neglect with this. You need to check your animals for parasites regularly. Things like fleas, ticks, lice in their coats, and treat it accordingly. So that can really easily kill your chickens, either by not having food or just neglect from proper medical care. So number 10 relates to the last one, point 9, and that is diatomaceous earth, or DE, and too much of it. So with the last point, you actually will use diatomaceous earth, or DE, to kill a lot of those parasites and stuff like that that are on your chickens. The problem is what it's made of. It's crushed up to a fine, dust, basically. Little particles of shells is the best way to describe it. And so they're really jagged, tiny little pieces of things. And if they get in your lungs or the chicken's lungs, they can kill you pretty quickly. So when you do use this to get rid of all of those parasites and prevent them in your coop as well, you need to make sure that when you sprinkle it, that it's all settled and everything out before you bring your chickens back in. Same thing outside. If you're applying it to them, make sure to not throw it up everywhere so it goes everywhere. Just make sure it goes where it needs to, and so they don't breathe in a ton of it, because that will kill them. And the very last one, the very last reason you might be accidentally killing your chickens is chemicals, and it's all their fault. Chickens are naturally really nosy creatures. They will find any sort of cabinet and try and open it if they can, try and move around, explore, do all sorts of things. Now the problem is if you have a lot of chemicals that are stored in cabinets around your chicken area or around your house, if they're close to that, and they find it, they will try and eat it. Just like the poison, chickens can get into more things than you think of. So make sure if you do have household chemicals around, like bleach is a perfect example, make sure you have them secured in a cabinet that they cannot open or are inside or in a garage or something like that. Well, that is pretty much it, guys. That's 11 different ways that you might be accidentally killing your chickens. I know that we have unfortunately fallen prey to some of these in the past accidentally, and so I wanted to take what we had learned and share it with you guys so you guys don't have the same issues with your chickens and you guys don't lose as many as we have in the past as well. So if you guys have any comments, anything additional that I forgot, please put them in the comments below, and so we can talk about them and spread the word about how we can keep our flocks alive, well, thriving, and producing lots of eggs. So thank you guys very much. We appreciate it, and we'll talk to you soon.